strikeout for the Orioles, Mike Mussina.
Well, the thing you don't realize about Mike Mussina, he leads all active pitchers in winning percentage, coming into the postseason at 105 victories against 49 losses.
In that divisional round. Over the outside corner, one away. Vizquel strikes out. Back-to-back strikeouts to put out 2-3, and in a blink, 2 out, nobody on here in the bottom of the first. 3 balls, 2 strikes, 2 out, nobody on, and Mussina struck out the side. One away as Justice strikes out, and that's 4 strikeouts for Mussina. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Over the outside corner, 1 away, and that's 5 strikeouts for Mussina. Quick and easy for Mussina, and strikeout number 6. He found it over the outside corner, and that will take care of the first 3 innings. Now 8. Chased it, struck him out, 2 gone. That is strikeout number 10. That's 11 strikeouts for Mussina through 5. And another strikeout, 95 miles per hour from Mussina. That's number 12. A ball and 2 strikes on Roberts. And now he's gone. Strikeout number 13 for Mike Mussina. 14 strikeouts to tie the LCS record for Mussina. That is 15 strikeouts for Mussina, an LCS record.
There are 2 kinds of people in this world. Those who love Old Bay and those who've never tried it. Because once you taste this Chesapeake Bay seasoning, you'll immediately be turned into a canvert. Old Bay goes great on seafood, chicken, corn on the cob, French fries, pretty much anything. Join the Legion of Canverts in America. Pick up a can today. And before you know it, this could be you. Old Bay, the can that connects us.
The veteran right-hander Mike Mussina in his first year with the Yankees during the regular season, 17-11, with an outstanding 3.15 ERA. This is his 4th start of the postseason, 2-1, 2.81.
It'll be a 2-2 to Counsell. He struck him out swinging. Fastball away. So Counsell strikes out. There are 2 down. Dead straight away for the power-hitting Gonzalez. The 1-0 is line. 1 up to Tino. Blocks it. Keeps it in front. Tags the bag. End of inning. So for Mussina, 3 up, 3 down. Now the right-hander to the 1. The 0-2. He struck him out swinging. Breaking ball down and away. A lot of pressure because Yankees have not been scoring any runs. It'll be a payoff. He struck him out swinging. A pitch up. 3 up, 3 down again at the end of an inning and a half. No score. Now the 1-2. He struck him out swinging. Knuckle curve. 2 outs, top of the 3rd. Pitch. Caught on and foul tip. No, he missed it. And he struck out. Posada tags him. No runs. 1 hit, 2 left. It'll be a 2-2. He struck him out swinging. Strikeout number 6 for the Moose.
He is definitely much sharper than Saturday night.
Well, he's pitching on 4 days rest rather than 8. Right. He is a creature of habit, and he feels more comfortable this way.
And Mussina deals, swung on, and fisted to 3rd. Brocious makes the easy catch.
That was a pretty easy inning.
And Mussina deals the 1-2. Swung and a miss. He struck him out. Slow breaking ball. Strikeout number 7 for Mike Mussina. And the 1-2 pitch. Swung and a miss. He struck him out. Dropped by Posada. He tags Womack on the back. And the pitch is a check swing, grounded softly. First base side of the mound. Mussina off the mound fields. He will tag Durazo on the way by in a 1-2-3 inning for Mussina and the Yankees. The 0-2. Strike 3 outside corner. Sanders down looking. Fastball. Bends, then straightens. And the 0-2. Swung on line drive to left field. Coming on Spencer. He makes the play. Chest high for the final out of the inning. So Barajas hit it hard again, but Spencer was right there.
Now the right-hander is set. Womack off 3rd. Infield up. 3-2. Struck him out swinging. That's some comeback by Mussina. He got a pitch up and in, kind of under the hands to Gonzalez and struck him out. And the pitch is popped up. He's going to get out of it. Soriano on the infield dirt makes the catch. What pitching by Mussina. That's great. A runner at third, no one out, gets stranded.
The next 2-2. Davis to left and will hit. Oh my! It's gone! Santa Maria!
From high atop the Robinson Gearing Studio Complex and straight out of God's country, Pawleys Island, South Carolina, the Let's Talk Baseball Podcast Network proudly presents Backwards K Pod. And now, here's the host of the show, Jake Robinson.
I never move in slow-mo. Welcome to my dojo. Until the pots are so I'm cute like Froyo. Focus like a GoPro. Ripping up this promo. Check out the scoreboard. Break something with no. Going, it's going. Yo, it's gone. Your horn just stopped. Cause Jake got strong and mighty. Undefeated, I beat it. Pull up the pots, cool it down, then read it. Written, produced, directed, and mixed. Tongue on your lips and eyes. He spit backflips. Pick a tip, any tip. Get on to it. I got ridiculous pods without forcing it. You sit at home crying like the girl while I spread the gospel around the world. Yo, the pods are written behind tracks that mix it smooth with the groove to make ears with a lips and add a little gut and a rhythm to back it up. Another show to my name that wants to stack them up. You think I know the way rap bad, but this ain't no ad cat. Muhammad's a rhyme, some people try to be black, but that about time I come out. Call the show, BKP, now let me turn it out. Yo, name take the same 171. James, you know what time it is, a packet of guns. Yo, experience, I've been a witness to glory, and that's why I collect ball players and their stories. You heard? So, once again, back is the incredible, the pod animal, Jake the Snake Robinson from the Let's Talk Baseball Podcast Network. I'm coming out of Pawleys Island, South Kakalaki. Hap podcast machine. Back in the Captain Kirk chair, shields down, photons up. Prepare to engage on this week's digital audio program that I call Backwards K-Pod, where we collect ball players and their stories. What's up, nerds? What's cracking? Welcome back into the dojo for Chapter 203 in the historical, anthological, and biographical accounting of the players, characters, managers, moments, stadiums, and all the pop culture references that have shaped our perspective and understanding about this beautiful tapestry of life we call baseball. I'm Jake Robinson. I got your hookup. Holler if you hear me. I'm joined, as usual, this week in the studio with my best friend, the heart and soul of this program, the chocolate tabby of tenaciousness, my number one stunner, little gunner, sipping on his chamomile tea, munching on catnip gummies, awaiting those orders to climb into the conductor's booth of our BKP time travel theme diesel and take us on our way to this week's baseball adventure. I got more ground to cover this week than Mark Belanger at its shortstop at Memorial Stadium, so if I can get all of you stragglers hanging out on the platform here at Terrapin Station to kiss and hug your loved ones goodbye, I can begin my final prep for departure. As I stare to the west of Terrapin, I can see clearly into our immaculately manicured jewel box retro stadium, down that left field foul line that seems to magically disappear around home plate, as our hometown BKP 9 have already come sprinting out of the dugout and taking the field for tonight's contest. Our starting pitcher has completed his warm-up tosses. He looks sharp, ready to go. Our catcher has gone down to second with an absolute seed on the bag. The infielders are now throwing that rock around the diamond with a little snap and swagger. And the home plate umpire has cleaned up the dish, raised his mask, and said those two magical words that ring out in ballparks around the globe during the summer months to kick off our ritual birthright: play ball. As the team's visiting leadoff stick makes his way to the batter's box, that's my cue, as usual, to get this show on the road. I'm calling all aboard, as I will have Gunner set our time and destination this week for December 8th, 1968, Williamsport, Pennsylvania, home of Little League Baseball, for the genesis backstory of one of the most consistent pitchers of his era, Hall of Fame right-hander Mike Mussina. So, hurry, step right up, get in where you fit in, climb aboard this modern marvel of science and technological engineering. You can plot out residence in one of our expansive lounges or retreat to a private boxcar for the trip ahead, as Gunner has us picking up the necessary quantum speeds needed to crack 6.0 gigahertz of RF on our spectrum analyzer. He's creating vast, anomalous, traversable wormholes, blurring the lines between baseball time and space, tilting the celestial scales in our favor, all in an effort to excavate the foundations of this immortals legacy from the very beginning in picturesque Lycoming County, Pennsylvania, in the winter of 1968. And I thought long and hard about this week's topic because, you know, as an unapologetic Orioles fan, I have a real personal connection as a fan to Mike Mussina. And if I'm being completely honest, I always likened my fandom connection to Moose through the opening sentences of the Charles Dickens novel, A Tale of Two Cities. It was the best of times, it was the worst of times. It was the age of wisdom, it was the age of foolishness. It was the epic of belief, it was the epic of incredulity. It was the season of light, it was the season of darkness, it was the spring of hope, it was the winter of despair. And from day one, you could just see that spark of competitiveness that you kind of look for in a frontline, top-of-the-rotation ace. When Moose first came up to play for the Orioles in 1991, the Birds were mired in mediocrity as the magic dust of baseball dominance throughout the 1970s and early 80s was becoming nothing more than a faded, distant memory. Thankfully, as an Orioles fan, the franchise had invested in pitching, drafting not only Moose out of Stanford University, but in 1989, they took the 6'7" right-handed Ben McDonald out of LSU with the first overall pick in the 1989 June MLB draft, who at the time of his selection was the highest rated collegiate baseball player ever drafted into the fraternity. And I remember thinking, Ben's going to be the ace, and Mike will be a solid number two. I mean, Ben had it all. He had a beast of a fastball, a mind-bending 12-6 curveball. He was an imposing pitcher, standing high atop the bump, looking down on his brain, 60 feet 6 inches away in the batter's box. But something happened that I really didn't see coming. By 1992, Mike Mussina had taken complete ownership as the team's ace, and Ben became the number two. And with each run through the rotation in 92, it was becoming clearer and clearer that Mussina was the superior pitcher and the future of the club was in his hands. But how? I mean, again, Ben had it all. McDonald had all the tools and physicality, but Moose was cerebral and he had all the intangibles. And I said this last week. He was like the mad surgeon who would nick you with the scapel, which on the surface it doesn't seem painful at the time, but if you take a look at yourself in the 6th, 7th, 8th inning, you're a bloody fucking mess. And wondering, how did I get here? Staring up at the scoreboard and you're losing 2-1. And Mike's 10-year tenure with the Baltimore Orioles from 1991 to 2000, I must have seen no less than 40 of his games live and in person. And even when he left for the arch rival New York Yankees, I would walk down to Camden Yards and watch him execute. And after the games, I would usually walk home realizing I had witnessed something pretty special with his performance. As the Orioles AC won 64.5% of his starts. Watching him pitch was almost an automatic dub, which was quite an achievement considering the lineup he had behind him in a lot of those years. As a young man out in this cruel world struggling with the cost of living, Mike Mussina was a worthy investment of my entertainment dollars. Some pitchers need all of their pitches to be working to navigate wins on the major league level, but the Moose would always find a way, even if, two of his pitches that day were subpar. And that, my friends, is the true mark of an ace. Now, his defection to the Boogie Down Bronx in 2001, it hit me hard. It was definitely the final nail in the coffin of my baseball innocence, as it had become painfully clear that Major League Baseball is truly a business, and the economic landscape in baseball was experiencing a demographic shift in favor of large market teams who by now had the resources to literally print money in the basement of their stadiums. No Orioles defection had ever hurt me more, before or since. And here in 2026, 25 years after Mike Mussina pitched his last pitch as an Oriole, the team still hasn't replaced him. They had Chris Tillman for a couple seasons, who on most teams would have been a 2 or a middle-of-the-rotation guy, but he served as the Orioles' de facto ace. They had Corbin Burns for the 2024 season, which was probably the closest thing, not even probably, it was the closest thing they ever had to having a Mike Mussina in the club. But his run for the Orioles was short-lived as he took his talents out to the desert and now pitches for the D-backs. They had Trevor Rogers last year, who was unhittable, but his production has certainly come back to earth here in 2026. So, for 25 years, it's been like this never-ending search for my Orioles to find the next big moose. And I gotta be honest, it's fucking exhausting. In 18 big league seasons, Mussina was more consistent than, a broken ice cream machine at McDonald's, winning a total of 270 games, becoming the first pitcher in American League history to amass 10 or more wins in 17 consecutive seasons. His dazzling array of weapons in his right arm of an arsenal consisted of a four-seam fastball, a two-seamer, a slider, a changeup, and a knuckle curve that he developed as a youngster in Little League. He made 5 All-Star teams, won 7 Gold Glove awards, and 9 times he finished in the top 6 for AL Cy Young voting. He was an introverted character. He had an introverted character profile. He was almost a brooding soul, exquisitely focused on shutting down American League East sluggers and being the absolute best pitcher that he could possibly be. He was often perceived as aloof, almost bordering on rude, especially by the local sports writers who were often too embarrassed and intimidated to match wits and sound bites with the brainy Ivy Leaguer. But to his credit, Moose has always remained true to himself, his family, and the small town that he called home. And here we are, folks. This is where Mike Mussina calls home, the beginning of his baseball road less traveled, as Gunnar has us slicing through that last traversable wormhole. We find ourselves here in beautiful scenic Lycoming County, Williamsport, Pennsylvania, December 8th, 1968, where proud parents Malcolm and Eleanor Mussina are welcoming the first child, Michael Cole Mussina, into the world. And little do they know, he's going to go on to become one of the all-time great pitchers in Major League history. The Mussina family unit lives in Montoursville, Pennsylvania, a small town with a population of a little under 6,000 people in the north-central part of the state. His father, Malcolm, is a lawyer, and his mother, whom everyone calls Ellie, was a nurse. And in 1972, the Mussina family unit expands with the birth of Mike's little brother, Mark. Now, Mark would also achieve some athletic success as a three-sport stud at Montoursville High School, earning first-team All-American, first-team All-Conference honors in football, basketball, and baseball as a senior. He would go on to play football and baseball at Susquehanna University and earn a degree in mathematics. Professionally, he has worked in real estate and as a sports talk radio host. And sidebar nerds, I actually co-hosted a baseball radio talk show with Mark back in 1999 in Baltimore, and he really is a special talent on the mic. I learned a lot from watching Mark. But I digress. His brother, Mike, began showing athletic prowess at a very young age with his old school Polaroid snapshots of the little man spinning off perfect football spirals at the age of 3 in the family photo albums serving as proof. His father, Malcolm, is still amazed when he thinks of his young phenom spinning it, asking aloud, how does that happen? Nobody taught him. He just naturally started doing it perfectly. Unusually gifted and driven, the young Mussina is an A-type personality, spending hours upon hours honing his natural skills on nearby sandlots and in the family basement, where his parents let him tape a strike zone on the wall. And Mike would often wistfully remember sometimes waking up the family from a deep slumber because, an errant pitch would occasionally miss the zone and rattle off the basement radiator. Moose's baptismal into organized baseball begins when he's 8 years old in the Montoursville Little League, and he was given the nickname Moose by his teammates. The first game he ever pitches in is for the Jimmy Z's restaurant team at the age of 10. And really, he's like a damn near instant success. And people begin to laud the youngster and his abilities, comparing him to Little League Taiwanese pitchers blowing away batters in the Little League World Series being held one town over in Williamsport. And all the attention began going to Mike's head, and his father, disgusted by the entitlement and arrogance his son was developing, used his anger as a teaching moment for his son, prohibiting Mike from finishing the season and telling Mike, there's got to be 10,000 kids out there right now that can do what you do. And the display of discipline wasn't meant to belittle his son's talents. It was more a tough love way to keep his son grounded in reality and to teach him that it takes hard work and goals to develop past the incredible athlete that can just blow away his underdeveloped and immature competition. Mike's inner competitive spirit was seething from his father's challenge. He learned to control his emotions and not read his own press clippings. He goes to work with his father in the backyard, setting out to prove his old man wrong, and he thinks to himself, there may be 10,000 kids out there that can do what I do, but there's only one Mike Mussina. Within a year, Mike is throwing too hard and with too much movement on his throws for his father, Malcolm, to handle. In the late 1970s, when Mike was around 10 years old, his parents loaded the boys up in the family car. They drove 3.5 hours east to New York City for their first Major League Baseball game at historic Yankee Stadium. Sitting in the mezzanine behind the right field foul pole, Mike and his little brother Mark decide to venture upstairs and take in a bird's eye view of the action. The experience sparked a passion and imagination inside of the brothers. And Mike remembers how here we are, two kids from small town America soaking in the atmosphere from the top row of the roof in right field with no adult supervision in the house that Babe Ruth built. And that was Moose's first taste of Major League Baseball. And on his return home after the game, Mike quietly sat in the back seat of the car and promised himself that was the life he wanted and he would do whatever it took to achieve this goal. Mike becomes a star pitcher at Montoursville High School, wearing his familiar number 35 and compiling a 24-4 record with a .87 ERA, leading the school to a state baseball championship his senior year. 2 times in his high school career, Moose is named the Pennsylvania State Baseball Player of the Year. He also plays for the basketball and football team while excelling in the classroom, finishing with the 4th highest grade point average in his graduating class. The high school success, it opened the doors for increased opportunities, including pitching for the United States Junior Olympic team in the summer between his junior and senior year of high school. There's a buzz generating around Mussina's baseball future, and scouts throughout the majors began descending onto the small town of Montoursville to put Moose under the microscope. But Mike's future was college, and he knew it. And all the scouts, they eventually left town with the realization that signing Moose out of high school is going to be near impossible. The Los Angeles Dodgers came sniffing around his fire hydrant, promising Moose a flight to meet team owner Peter O'Malley, and with the assurance that he would be pitching in the majors almost instantly. But Chicago Cubs scout Billy Blitzer noted in his report that Mussina is virtually unsignable, as he has already signed a letter of intent to attend Stanford University, noting his father is a wealthy lawyer who will accept nothing less than a $250,000 signing bonus, which would have been a record signing bonus number at the time. The Baltimore Orioles took a chance. They drafted Mussina in the 11th round of the 1987 MLB Junior Amateur Draft. But they never make formal offers to Mike after he indicates that he has really no desire in signing a major league contract at the time. Instead, Mike opts to attend Stanford University on a partial baseball scholarship, noting, it's always been kind of a given in my family that you went to college. Plus, for me, there were real lifestyle questions. Do I really want to spend 3 or 4 of my formative years riding on the bus between minor league towns, staying in crappy hotels, or do I want to have a chance to experience college while playing baseball? So, to me, it really wasn't a hard choice. It was kind of a no-brainer. When Mussina steps onto the Stanford campus, the Cardinals are the defending national champs, and Moose steps right into their starting rotation, posting a 9-4 record as a freshman with a team-leading 20 starts, as the Cardinal would again leave Omaha winners as back-to-back national champs. His sophomore campaign was riddled with shoulder ailments, and he is limited to only 8 starts. He rebounds his junior year with a 14-5 record in 20 starts. He's named an All-American, and Stanford once again advances to the College World Series, Baseball World Series, but this time they lose in the semifinals to the eventual national champion Georgia Bulldogs. The economics major is once again draft eligible, and this time he's ready to sign a deal and pursue his team dreams. And again, the Orioles come back into the picture when they draft a right-hander in the first round with the 20th overall pick in the 1990 June MLB Amateur Draft. He signed with the club on July 2nd, 1990 for a reported $225,000 signing bonus by Orioles scout Ed Sprague. The Orioles dropped the gauntlet and challenged Mussina right off the rip, shipping him out to Double-A Eastern League to play for the Hagerstown Suns, where he makes his pro ball debut on July 19th, 1990. But Moose proves to be up to the challenge, accepting the aggressive assignment and toying with Eastern League hitters to finish with a 3-0 record and a 1.49 ERA before being promoted to AAA Rochester in late August as the Red Wings team was making a playoff push. His success on the Double-A level continued after his promotion to a higher level. In 13 1/3 innings pitched for the Rochester Red Wings, he sports a stellar 1.35 ERA, less than a year removed from college. He pitches 2 games in the postseason, failing to pick up a dub, but the team goes on to win the 1990 International League Championship and the Governor's Cup. And after his whirlwind first year of professional baseball, Mussina returns to Stanford to complete his degree in economics, a feat he accomplished in only 3.5 years. And his senior thesis paper focused on the economics of signing a pro baseball contract out of high school as opposed to signing one out of college. As Mush once said, graduating from college doesn't necessarily mean you're smart, but it does mean that you're smart enough to know that having a degree is a good thing. In 1991, he starts the year in Rochester, continues to impress, posting a 10-4 record with a 2.87 ERA, good enough to earn the International League Pitcher of the Year award, and a call to the show on July 31st. On August 4th, 1991, Moose makes his major league debut at Comiskey Park against the Chicago White Sox. And his performance that day was an eye-opening glimpse into his future as he's flat out stellar, holding the Southsiders to 4 hits and 7 2/3 innings pitched. Unfortunately, one of those 4 hits was a mammoth solo shot surrendered to White Sox Hall of Famer first baseman Frank Thomas as the Orioles would fall in defeat to the White Sox 1-0. And I say eye-opening because in retrospect, that first game was more telling than the 1-0 scoreboard at the end of that game. It's more telling than anyone would ever know. Number one, the first lesson we learned is Mussina's a fucking beast who can gonna keep you in the game and give you a chance to win. The second thing we learned, the 1-0 loss would prove to be indicative of Moose's career as the Orioles would continue to go through spells during Mussina's career with the team where the bats would fall asleep into like this listless slumber when he pitched. And number 3, Frank Thomas is going to be a pain in his ass for the first 6 or 7 years of their head-to-head matchups. I mean, he just would brutalize Mikey. He was the one guy that Mike could not figure out in the beginning. In 1992, Mussina establishes himself as a top-of-the-rotation gun, starting the season with a 5-0 record and making the American League All-Star team for the first of his eventual 5 All-Star selections. In what would become a habit of near misses in his career, Mussina just misses out on a no-hitting the Texas Rangers at Arlington Park in an 8-0 victory. And for 9 innings, Moose carves up the Rangers' high-powered offense that features sluggers like Luis Gonzalez, Rafael Palmeiro, Ruben Sierra, and Ivan Rodriguez, just to name a few, striking out 10 and walking 1, with the lone hit being a double in the bottom of the 5th off of the bat of designated hitter Kevin Reimer. He finished the season with a sublime 18-5 record and a 2.54 ERA. His .783 winning percentage was tops in the American League. And for his efforts, he finishes 4th in Cy Young voting behind Dennis Eckersley, Jack McDowell, and Roger Clemens. Mussina comes roaring out of the gate in 1992, starting the season 7-2, heading into a June 6 matchup with the Seattle Mariners, a game I attended, by the way. In the top of the 7th, Mussina plunks Mariners catcher Bill Hasselman in the shoulder with an errant fastball, and Hasselman, who had homered earlier in the game, took exception to the pitch and touched off the most physical and violent baseball brawl in the history of Camden Yards. The enraged catcher flings his bat to the ground and charges the mound, and, to Mike's credit, he's just a pretty boy nerd with an economics degree out of Stanford. The Moose tosses his glove to the side and stands his ground high atop the bump and braces himself for the onslaught. Well, the much bigger Hasselman bear hugs the Moose, throws him to the ground, and he's desperately trying to punch through Mussina's guards before both dugouts dogpile on top of the pair. And, it's crazy. 1 minute we're enjoying a beautiful day in the yard, and the next thing I know, there's my ace out there in the pitcher's mound with what seemed like 40 players on top of him, and I'm cussing out every Mariners player within my shouting distance behind the Orioles dugout. It was a 20-minute brawl that, quite frankly, looked like it was never going to end. Orioles catcher Jeff Tackett has a bloody face and is doling out haymakers, trying to protect his pitcher. Alan Mills is straight knocking dudes out like he's Mike Tyson. As a result of the brawl, there were 3 injuries suffered and 8 players were ejected from the game. Mussina was not one of them. And sidebar nerds, in that fight, Cal Ripken Jr. twisted his knee really bad, casting his pursuit of Lou Gehrig's consecutive games played record of 2,130 in doubt. When Cal woke up the next morning, the knee was discolored and a swollen mess. And had there been a game that day, thankfully it was an off day, he would not have been able to play. But thankfully, the off day did the Iron Man well, and he was able to play through the residual pain once the games resumed. While Mussina was not obviously injured in the fight, he was shaky in the next three starts, allowing 16 earned runs, 24 hits over 13 and 2/3 innings before missing the next 6 weeks with a sore shoulder and lower back strain that he experienced during the brawl. Seemingly close to return, he was named to the American League All-Star team, where the Midsummer Classic would be taking place at Orioles Park at Camden Yards. Blue Jays manager Cito Gaston was the manager for the American League team, and at a private meeting he told Moose that he would most likely not be used in that game unless it went into extra innings. Now, the agreement was unbeknownst to the Orioles fans who had shown up at the yard wanting to see their hero perform at their home park in the All-Star game. And the anticipation of watching Moose perform was palpable throughout the yard as Mike Mussina begins throwing in the bullpen on his own accord in the bottom of the ninth inning. And the climate evolved from anticipation to confusion as to why you have Mussina throwing in the bully as the final outs of the game are drifting away. And the Orioles fans not knowing of Gaston's agreed up strategy and not knowing that Mike had taken it upon himself to put in a bullpen session on his own. The crowd went from anticipation to confusion to a feeling of insult and blood-boiling rage. The American League won big, 13-6, but even as Reds pitcher Norm Charlton is flailing away at a Dennis Eckersley slider for the game-ending strikeout, a chorus of boos rained down on Camden Yards directed at Cito Gaston, who in an instant became Baltimore's biggest sports villain since the Baltimore Colts owner Bob Irsay and John Elway. Now, eventually, Gaston and Mussina would break bread, squash the beef in 1994. Cito had Mussina pitch the 5th inning of that year's All-Star game. The next 3 seasons, 1994 to 1996, Mussina gets tantalizingly close to achieving the elusive 20-win season. In 1994, he sat at 16-5 when the player strike interrupted his campaign, and it probably cost him about 10 more starts. In 1995, he led the American League with 19 victories, but the strike year from the year before created a shortened season that cost Moose at least 3 starts in the beginning of the year. That season, Moose is honored to start and win the game versus the California Angels 8-0, in which Cal Ripken Jr. would break Lou Gehrig's consecutive game played record. In reflection of the moment, Mussina has said, "I was happy to have a small part in that night. I felt proud to be Cal's teammate. I think we all did to a man in the clubhouse." And in recognition of the historic achievement, Mike spearheaded a team gift to the Iron Man, a 2,131-pound engraved chunk of white marble with the numbers 2,131 engraved on it. The 1996 season saw Mussina come even closer to the 20-win benchmark. He had 19 wins with 4 starts left on the schedule. He pitches poorly in the first 2 games, takes an L in both of those games. In the third game, he pitches 8 strong innings against the Milwaukee Brewers, leaving with a 7-5 lead before the Orioles bully collapses all over his effort. In his final chance to get the elusive 20th win, he leaves the game in the 8th inning with a 2-1 lead against the Toronto Blue Jays. But unfortunately, Armando Benitez, who, let's face it, had a tendency to be gasoline at a bonfire, he gave up a home run to Ed Sprague, the son of the scout that signed Mussina for the Orioles, costing Mike the victory. Moose was pitching with a heavy heart for the second half of the 1996 season after his hometown of Montoursville was struck by tragedy when a plane crash took the life of 16 students and 5 chaperones en route to Paris for a French club trip July 17th. Mussina returned home for a memorial service during the season, and he pitched the rest of the season with the names of the 21 lost souls inscribed in the bill of his cap as a grim reminder to remember the souls. The Orioles made the playoffs for the first time since 1983, but they lost in the ALCS to the eventual world champion Yankees, and he earned his first of 7 Gold Glove awards at the conclusion of the campaign. Mussina's initial contract with the Orioles was due to expire after the conclusion of the 1997 season. Moose decides to bypass free agency. He signs a 3-year extension for $21 million with the Orioles, which was widely regarded throughout the industry as a hometown discount below market deal. And the extension came under some scrutiny by the Players Association, who felt like Mussina had left money on the table, but Mike just explained himself saying, I feel good about this deal. I'm sure I could have gone out and see what was out there, but who knows what would have happened. At the end of the day, the franchise demonstrated how much they wanted me to stay here, so I stayed. He would yet again narrowly miss out on the history on May 30th, 1997. Yet another game I was attending, by the way. On this night, Moose takes a perfect no-hit game into the 9th inning before yielding a 1-out single to Sandy Alomar Jr. in the 9th before striking out the final 2 Indians for the 1-hit win. He took another no-hitter into the 8th inning less than a month later on June 25th in a 9-1 victory over the Brewers at County Stadium. But it was probably the 1997 postseason where Mike Mussina shined brightest. He started Game 3 of the ALCS against the Indians, allowed 1 run over 8 innings of work while striking out an American League ALCS record of 15 batters. Despite the dominant outing, the Birds' bats fell silent, and yet another magnificent Mussina start, and they lose the game 2-1. Game 6, on 3 days rest, Mussina is again dominant, striking out 10 Indians and 8 innings of shutout ball, but the Orioles' bats again go into a deep funk, lose the game in a series 1-0, after Tony Fernandez home run in the 11th inning off of Armando Benitez proved to be the series clincher and game winner. Marriage came in the fall of 1997 when Mike marries the former Jana Lentz McKissick in November. Jana was also from Montoursville, although she was 2 years ahead of Mike in high school. It was her second marriage, and Mike adopted her daughter Kira, who was 8 years old at the time. The couple have since had 2 sons, Bryce, who was born in 1997, and Peyton, who was born in 2003. His 1998 season was marred by 2 trips to the disabled list. The first trip to the DL was the result of a nasty wart on his right index finger. And in his third start back from that stint on the DL, he was struck in the face by a line drive off the bat of Sandy Alomar Jr., yet another game I was personally witness to. I mean, I was sitting in the upper deck behind home plate, and all I heard was two loud bangs, the crack of the ball coming off the bat, and the disgusting thud as a ball bounced off Mussina's head, which, quite frankly, appeared to blow up from where I was standing. He suffered a gruesome laceration over his right eye and a displaced nasal fracture, missing a little more than 3 weeks of games after the incident. And self-admittedly, Mike confirms that he probably came back a little too soon. Even though I tried not to think about it or worry about it, I was probably a little gun-shy, and I was probably flinching after every pitch for the rest of the season. After a couple rocky starts, he again flirts with perfection in a game against the Detroit Tigers on August 4th, 1998. For 7 2/3 innings, he is golden, retiring the first 23 Tigers batters he faced until Frank Catalanotto yanks a double off of a fastball to break up the perfect game. Mussina would have to settle for the 4-0 complete game, 2-hit shutout. In 1999, Mussina is once again standing on the precipice of making a run at 20 wins, but his efforts were derailed when he took a line drive off the shoulder in late August. The freak accident forced him to miss 3 starts, and he finished the season with 18 wins. The 2000 season saw Moose post his only full season losing record at 11-15. The win-loss record, it belied his greatness, though, as his 3.79 ERA was the 3rd best in the American League, and he finishes 6th in an AL Cy Young voting as the Orioles tumbled to a 4th-place finish at 74-88. Mussina had a second chance of free agency after the season, and this time he's not inclined to give the Orioles a hometown discount, especially after the Birds rejected his spring training pitch for a 5-year extension for $60 million. Mike takes an honest evaluation of the Orioles, and he sees a meddlesome owner in Peter Angelos. He sees a first base situation that goes from Rafael Palmeiro to Chris Richards. We went from Roberto Alomar at second base to Gary Harrison, Chris Hoyles behind the plate to Brooke Fordyce. There were 5 different managers, 7 pitching coaches over his last 7 years in Baltimore. And, you know, Mussina ain't no dummy. It didn't take long for the brainy Stanford graduate to realize that the Orioles just lack a clear vision for future success. This is a sinking ship, and where the hell are the lifeboats? And so he decides to look out for the best interests of his playing career and his family's future, and he walks away from the Orioles after 10 seasons. Pursued aggressively by large market teams like the Red Sox and both franchises in New York, Mussina is first and foremost looking for a chance to play meaningful baseball games in October. Ultimately, it was a phone call from Yankees manager Joe Torre that swayed the pendulum in the Yankees' favor. All offseason, Torre remembers how he kept hearing that Mussina was a small-town guy who cherished his anonymity, but he didn't want that to be the deciding factor behind this decision. I basically reached out to him to let him know that there are real nice places in Westchester and Jersey City where he can have all the solitude he wants. Regarding the phone call, Mussina admits that the words of encouragement and understanding of his concerns have really struck a chord with him, and was probably the number one reason he ended up in the Bronx to play for the Yankees. The Yankees reward their big free agent Fish with a brand new 6-year, $88.5 million contract, and he eagerly joins the defending world champions. The move to the Yankees would prove to be a learning experience for Moose, to say the least, and especially in his dealings with the media, but he's prepared for war. With an improved product playing behind him, he finishes with a 17-11 record and a 3.15 ERA in his first year in the Boogie Down. He once again flirts with perfection, retiring the first 26 Red Sox batters he faced on September 2nd, 2001, before surrendering a ninth-inning single to Carl Everett. It would be the fourth time in his career that Mike would carry a no-hitter into the eighth inning or later before becoming up short, which is a major league record for the most near misses by a pitcher to never toss a no-no. A distraught and disappointed Mussina refused to discuss the futility with the media, which didn't lend itself well to his already tenuous relationship with the New York press. Yankees broadcaster Michael Kay made a general observation when he said, "That Mike Mussina is one strange dude. At his best, he's unfriendly. At his worst, he's rude." And for his part, Moose would chalk up his perceived character shortcomings with the local scribes to the same incredible focus that had made him a type A successful pitcher on the major league level. In 2002, he noted that he was never going to be able to please everyone all the time. I'm better off making sure that my state of mind is okay before I worry about everybody else's state of mind. After all, I'm the one who has to go out there and produce. Mussina and the Yankees make the playoffs in 2001, and Moose throws 7 shutout innings in a must-win Game 3 of the division series versus the Oakland A's, a game that is highlighted by the Derek Jeter infamous backhand flip from the first base foul line to catcher Jorge Posada just in time to nag Jeremy Giambi at home plate in the 7th inning. The Yankees would move on to win the World Series to face the Arizona Diamondbacks, but would lose the series to the Snakes on a walk-off single by Luis Gonzalez in Game 7, and it would be the closest that Mike Mussina would ever come to winning a ring. Mussina's next and last World Series opportunity came during the 2003 season, but to get there, the Yankees would have to beat their arch-rival Red Sox in the ALCS. Moose pitches Game 1 of 4, but takes the L both times. In the winner-take-all Game 7, Mussina appeared on relief duty for the first time in his major league career. In the 4th inning, the Red Sox are winning 4-0 and threatening to score more runs with runners in the corners and 1 out. Mussina takes over for Roger Clemens. He promptly strikes out catcher Jason Varitek for out number 2, and he massages a ground ball double play out of Johnny Damon to piss all over the Red Sox fire. He pitches 3 scoreless innings in the game to give the Yankees a chance to mount a comeback, a game that was eventually ended with an Aaron Boone walk-off dong in the 11th inning to clinch the American League pennant and setting the table for a World Series matchup with the Florida Marlins. In the Fall Classic, Mussina is stellar in his Game 3 start, throwing 7 shutout innings to secure the victory, and he's all lined up to pitch the championship deciding Game 7, but the opportunity never arose as the Fish choked out the Bombers in 6 games for the improbable championship. Mussina achieved milestone win number 200 early in the 2004 season, the 100th different pitcher to accomplish the feat, and in 2006, he became just the 9th pitcher in baseball history to win 100 games with 2 different teams. His Yankees contract expired after the 2006 season, and he's resigned during the offseason, a 2-year, $23 million deal to return to the Bronx. Chasing milestone win number 250, he enters the 2007 campaign with 239 wins under his belt. And the season would be the most trying of Mike's career as he posted a career worst 5.33 ERA and finds himself demoted to bullpen duty by late August before injuries in the Yankees starting rotation opened the door for Mussina to force his way back into the rotation. He seized the opportunity by reinventing himself and pivoting towards a new pitching philosophy where he now attacks the inner half of the plate instead of living on the outside edges. The new mindset works. Moose rattles off 3 wins down the stretch to finish the season with an 11-10 record, and he's now sitting on 250 career wins. In 2008, his 18th and final season in the majors, Mussina scraps the scouting report he has built for 16 2/3 years of his career, continuing his newfound philosophy of attacking the hitters on the inside and breaking bats along the way to finally achieve the elusive milestone of 20 wins in a season. Win number 20 came against the Red Sox in his very last start of the year and his career on September 28, 2008. At the age of 39, he became the oldest pitcher to win 20 games in a season for the first time in his career. Upon the completion of the season, Moose announces his retirement from the game and joins Dodgers southpaw immortal Sandy Koufax as the only pitchers to record 20 wins in their final season of modern Major League Baseball. In his retirement, Mike has focused on the next chapters of his life by focusing his philanthropic efforts on his hometown of Montoursville. He spent years as the varsity basketball team coach at Montoursville Area High School, focusing on developing the program rather than pursuing a professional career in coaching. He remains active in his childhood neighborhood. He enjoys collecting vintage cars. And as a former Little Leaguer himself, he serves on the board of directors for Little League International, preferring the quiet life away from the public eye. Some of his post-career accolades include inductions into the Orioles Hall of Fame in 2012, the Rochester Red Wings Hall of Fame in 2013, and the Little League Hall of Excellence in Williamsport, Pennsylvania in 2014, as well as an NCAA Silver Anniversary Award in 2015. His career was validated when he's elected into the National Baseball Hall of Fame in Cooperstown, New York, in 2019, his 6th year of eligibility. His class included Harold Baines and the late Roy Halladay, making the 2019 Hall of Fame inductees the first class in Hall of Fame history to include 3 first-rounders, Baines, Mussina, and Chipper Jones. While critics and detractors attempted to downplay his achievements, citing his lack of round numbers like 300 wins or 3,000 strikeouts, and noting that his career ERA of 3.68 is the second highest career ERA for a Hall of Fame hurler in Cooperstown, the voters nevertheless gave him the benefit of the doubt with the context, considering that he pitched his entire career in the powerful American League East with their puny bandbox stadiums and with PEDs running rampant during that era. Not to mention, his ERA was a half point lower than the league average during his career. He chose to enter the Hall with no logo on his Hall of Fame cap, reflecting his connection to both the Orioles and the Yankees franchises. He has supported various charities for children through the Mike Mussina Foundation And he cherishes his anonymity and simple life in Montoursville, where everyone just calls him Mike. And reflecting on his journey that would start along the banks of the Susquehanna River and finish in the pantheon of baseball mortals, Moose has never forgotten the path and the community support he has garnered along the way, concluding, this was the way it had to be, and I wouldn't change a thing. And with that, I'm going to draw the curtain on the Mike Mussina audio biopic, put a big, beautiful backwards K in the scorebook next to his name. I want to thank all of you steam heads for lending me your ears this week. I'll be up bright and early tomorrow morning, working up a sweat with an intense bullpen session, preparing myself for the next trip through the rotation. And I promise, nerds, I'll try to be better next week. As Gunner has us speeding up the track, desperately trying to get you nerds back to your loved ones, patiently awaiting your return to Terrapin Station, let's take one last look at those so beautiful stats and accolades the immortal Mike Mussina left behind on his Hall of Fame resume. Okay, where we at here? Michael Cole Mussina, a.k.a. Moose. Born December 8th, 1968 in Williamsport, Pennsylvania, attended Montoursville area high school. Drafted by the Baltimore Orioles at a high school in the 11th round of the 1987 June MLB amateur draft, but he had opted to attend Stanford University. Was drafted a second time by the Baltimore Orioles in 1990 at a Stanford with the 20th pick overall. That 1990 draft also produced Hall of Famer Chipper Jones. On August 4th, 1991, the 22-year-old Mike Mussina becomes the 16,001st man in the history of the planet Earth to join the MLB fraternity when he makes his big league debut versus the Chicago White Sox, where he pitches 7 2/3 strong innings, allowing 4 hits, 1 earned run, a solo blast by the big hurt Frank Thomas, and a 1-0 loss. 18-year Major League Baseball career with the Baltimore Orioles and the New York Yankees. A pitcher's WAR of 82.8, the 23rd best pitcher's WAR in the history of the game. 537 career games, 536 starts, 3,562 and 2/3 innings pitched, 14,593 batters faced, 2,813 strikeouts, a 19.3% strikeout rate, and the 24th most punch-outs ever. 270 wins, 153 losses for a .638 winning percentage, 57 complete games, 23 shutouts, 785 walks, 3.68 ERA, 3.57 FIP, and a 1.09 WHIP, and a 123 ERA plus. In 16 postseason appearances, Moose went 7-8 with 3.42 ERA, 145 strikeouts, and 139 2/3 innings pitched. Opponents had a .255, .297, .399, .696 slash line against the Moose. 5-time All-Star, 7-time Gold Glove Award winner, 3-time AL Player of the Week, 1988 National Championship with the Stanford Cardinal. 6 times he was in top 5 in American League Cy Young Award voting. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, team heads of all ages, this has has been the story of the immortal Mike Mussina, the Moose. Again, I want to thank all of you freaks for joining me this week in my attempt to bring this Legends baseball journey to life. And, you know, look, it really brought back a lot of memories for me as an Orioles fan. And I hope you enjoyed the presentation as much as I enjoyed putting in the work and the research to bring you his story. Remember, I will never charge you for the baseball content offered up here at BKP. No Patreon, no Twitch, no pay-to-play bonus subscriptions. I'm giving you what I got in my tank, and it's all free. Please remember to share this program with your Steamhead buddies. Rate and review me as you see fit. I ain't scared. I do what I do when I do it, and no one does it better than Diamond Snake Jake. Let's keep this grassroots program rolling down the tracks. And speaking of rolling down the tracks, my boy Gunner has us racing for that next traversable wormhole to get you all safely back to Terrapin Station. I can see the Mike Mussina story getting smaller and smaller in my rear view mirror. So, with that, I turn my attention to our never say die baseball hydra. I reach into my kimono, pull out my katana blade, and I chop a head off that beast, only to see two more baseball topics appear in its place. Next week, I'm going to do a deep dive into the baseball life of a man who was the face of the Los Angeles Dodgers for like 20 years. A dude that once proudly claimed that if you cut him, he would literally bleed Dodgers blue. Next week, we're going to profile the head meatball in charge, one Thomas Charles Lasorda, Hall of Fame manager, the great Tommy Lasorda. But y'all already know how I roll. That's another story for another pod here at Backwards K Pod, where we collect ball players and their stories. Thank y'all for coming out. God bless and win the day. Parents, if you see your kid sitting on the couch like a bored and unproductive AF, by all means, create some memories that can last a lifetime. Grab yourself a ball and a couple gloves, then take those little monkeys outside and play a game of catch. Me and my boy Charlie Guns, we throwing our Gunnar Hendersons high in the sky, y'all. That's our number 2s, as in peace. We got the great Tom Lasorda on deck. Should be fun. I'll see you guys in my next start. I love you all. See ya.